Gen Con 2023 is a distant memory. It's 1 year away, and we bought a bunch of games then. Now the only question is, are they still good a year later?
Did they hold up? What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and that's right. It's a year after Gen. We just got back from Gen Con 2024.
Right.
Those games are all trash. I'm sure they're great. We don't really know. We haven't played a lot of them. But it's been a year since Gen Con 2023. We did this video last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were kind of like, oh, this is actually a really useful video, and arguably way more useful than just like a haul video because did the games
Which we did,
hold up?
you should watch, by the way.
Yes, you should.
Don't downplay.
Both are very useful, but this is great because you get to kind of see like, okay, did these games hold up? Are these games
any staying
good?
power whatsoever, or was it simply the hype of the moment that was what was propelling it forward?
So most of these I'll tell you right now, I don't think we've played every single one of them,
No,
which
we
maybe
have not.
goes to show like, it wasn't compelling enough for us to play it yet. So we're just going to go through game by game of the games that we got at Gen Con last year and talk about them, talk about if we have played them, did we like them, how many times have we played them, that kind of stuff. Don't be this butt. See this butt right here? Don't be this butt. Subscribe, you butts. We're gonna go ahead and start with 20 Strong because we don't have it here. All the other games we have like physical copies to show you. But 20 Strong we don't have because it's at my house because it's a really great solo game.
So is that your house because you're playing?
Because I enjoy
that's
playing
a good
it. Yeah,
sign.
yeah. So 20 Strong is a small solo game by Chip Theory Games. There's only one chip in it. That's like a round marker thing.
That's
It's a dice game.
It's the anti-Chip Theory game.
It really
in a
is.
way, but it's still very dicey.
But it's very, very fun. It's great. It's this interesting game where you can kind of go through these different packs. The basic one is called
like
Solar Sentinels.
Yeah, each one's like a different little gauntlet that you're running
exactly.
through.
And you're basically trying to defeat enemies, get to the big boss, defeat the big boss. And you're doing that through rolling dice. And so you have like 3 enemies in front of you. You can kind of choose which one to hit, and then they're all going to hit you. So you can roll, and then your dice will kind of go exhausted, and then every round you're going to get a certain amount of those dice back. So the game is really a resource management game, and really a dice resource management game.
Yeah, and the pool of dice you have will have different levels of like,
which is
this
very
one has
Chip Theory
2 successes
thing.
on, this one has 3 and stuff. And so when and
Hopalocus
how,
has a similar thing.
Very much so. And when and how you use your most powerful dice is important because you're not going to get them back right away. And in the Solar Sentinels one, you're kind of going through these 3 rows of baddies and trying to get to a big boss. But they've also done a few now, other versions of 20 Strong, which uses the same dice and everything, so all that infrastructure is there. But you can get a new deck. They have one based on Too Many Bones.
Yeah, it's all
their
own universes.
Right. Yeah, so you have Too Many Bones where you're getting loot and getting gear and stuff.
You're going against a big baddie.
Yeah, and you're playing as a gear lock, which is really cool, but it's in this micro universe. They also have Hopalocus Victorium where you're doing kind of gladiatorial battle and stuff in this sort of abstract way.
Yeah, Cloud Spire's coming soon. I hope they do one like a Burn Cycle world.
Yeah, they have a new original one with Manny Tremblay.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them. They're like
coming.
Red Riding Hood. They're very like fantasy, fairy tale themed. I'm just like, I really like 20 Strong a lot. It's not here because it's at my house. Yeah. So what's next, Mikey?
Next, we have a little party game called Everything Ever.
I like Everything Ever.
Everything Ever is a like perfect little party game in I say this as a compliment in the way of like I could care less who wins or gets points. I don't even know how those work. It's just fun to play with.
Yeah.
So this is a game where you're going to have basically a topic. Let's find one real quick.
Boom, easy.
You're going to get a topic. It might be every baby, and you have to start naming every baby and stuff without repeating and things. And it really comes down to like that whole like
you say Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
Baby Yoda's gone.
All right, and trying to get away with like trying to stretch.
It might be like
this topic go?
Every pirates. You have to name pirates. We have to like name real pirates, like not like Pirate Jim. You have to say like Captain Jack Sparrow, or something like that. And then you basically you eventually have multiple of these out there. So it'll be like every pirate, every baby, and every
the names of each of those
every
categories.
element. And so you're like, okay, Gallium. Blackbeard and
Logan,
Mike's
my
daughter Logan. Boom, that's easy. And so that's what you're doing. And then if you can't do it, you lose.
You end up like losing cards. You don't want to be the first one to get knocked out. And they have these kind of judgment cards. You can say like, I don't think that's really in the spirit of
we've
like
all played
this topic.
versions of this game like in like freaking road trips and stuff. For sure. You're just like name as many of these things as you can. It's like it's just that gamified.
It's a glorified kind of card game and stuff, but like those ones are always really fun
it's good.
and stuff. And again, I say like this as a compliment. I don't care about the rules of the game. It's just fun to do that thing and see how many things you can name from a topic. So
I actually really
like that kind of thing. This one is actually pretty great.
Shouts out to Linnea. We got Cashar. This was not released in Gen Con 2022. But based off the art and look of this game, this was released in the 1830s. But nonetheless,
this is real time. This is talking about the time that it was in. It was a present time game.
Cashar, Merchant of the Silk Road. Our good friend Linnea got this, and I think had a second copy, and so gave us this one. Yep. This is a game where you are. Mikey unfortunately hasn't played this yet. Keep me to show it to him. We just have not had time. And so, but I have played this game. I played it at Gen Con. I will say I have not played it since. I did enjoy it, but I have not gone back to it yet. But again, this year's been nuts because of the whole move thing. So this year's kind of not probably the best year of like determining what we've come back to play. But nonetheless, you have essentially like 3 kind of columns of cards, and you can activate the front card in one of those columns. It's going to do a whole bunch of different stuff, and then it's going to move to the back of the column. So that's kind of how you're activating things. And I can't quite exactly what you're doing, but I think you're doing some contract fulfillment.
Merchant
you're getting
stuff.
points. There's donkeys, that kind of stuff. But it did have this really kind of interesting like boop, 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 kind of mechanic to it that I thought was really, really cool. I would love to see this game done again with a different theme. There's nothing wrong with this theme. It's just boring.
A little dated.
Yeah, it's just this dude and this like donkey who has eyes in the front of its face. So it's like an apex predator donkey. It's just like, this kid who's like either a 45-year-old man or
both looks young and old.
Super old. It's just, it could use a reprint. I thought the game itself was fun though.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. That's Cashar, Merchant of the Silk Road. We got here
that 2023 hotness.
Boom. This is Inside Job, a game of teamwork and deception. This is a trick-taking with a hidden trader game where you are placing out, you're doing tricks. It's kind of like The Crew, where you're going to have essentially a mission or missions that you were trying to do, which is like get a certain person this card, this person has to win this many tricks, this person can't win until the 3rd trick, blah, 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 all sorts of stuff like that. And if you're a regular agent, you want to succeed in as many of these missions as you can. Of course. And if you are a double agent, you're one of the baddies, you're trying to essentially win tricks.
It's like 4, I think, Yeah,
whoever wins the trick takes a briefcase. No matter if you're an agent or a double agent or whatever, you're going to take a briefcase.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really like about this game, and we don't have an occasion to play it very often, so
it's 3 to 5.
3 to 5, and you really want to play 4 or 5. And so it's like, maybe soon we'll get more of a chance to play these games. Hopefully. But it's so fun because if I'm on the agent's team, I just want the missions to get done. And by doing that, I happen to have won 2 or 3 tricks.
Yeah.
And then everyone turns on you because they're like, why do you keep winning tricks? And you're like,
what are you doing?
Because I'm just trying to fulfill the mission. They're like, that's what a double agent would say. And then it gets really fun. Everyone looks suspicious all the time just by the nature of the mechanisms of the game. And with a hidden trader game, social deduction type game, I want that very much. We want that where it's just like, you don't know what's going on. Everyone looks shady and stuff. It's just kind of controlled chaos. But with the trick taking, which is really fun as well.
And then there's like a whole bunch of different missions or something like that, which we've never really played.
Player powers you can play as. You have like a role that has
gets even deeper than just the trick taking with the trader, which is already great, know. So I like this one a lot. We've played it a couple times, but it's hard for us to get it played. But I do really enjoy it.
I super enjoy that one. So that's an Inside Job. What you got over there?
What I got over here? All right, so next one is going to be Get On Board Paris and Roma. Yeah. Again, we have Les Buts for the Paris Olympics right now, because Buts in French is Les Buts.
It's love. Means
love. Exactly. But so this is the second installment of Get On Board, which is a re-implementation of Let's Make a Bus Route by Sashi and Sashi.
Yep.
And this one is set in Paris and Rome, and it's basically the same game for the most part. Yeah. With what was the other one? London and New York?
London and New York. Yep.
And so basically in that one, Like a Bus Route is a roll and write game where you are putting out bus routes, but in New York and in London, you don't want your bus routes next to other people's bus routes because that's causing like traffic, that's causing pollution, that's bad. This one is all about the underground.
Yeah.
And so now you actually do want your stuff next to each other, and that's more efficient because you're not having to build like new tunnels and stuff like that.
Exactly. So it's as if you're using other people's already laid tracks to get your passengers where they need to go and to see all the sights and stuff. And so you're kind of rewarded for building in an efficient manner. Because like the metro and stuff, all those things do have where for one section, there's all these trains going this line, but they actually split off in many ways. And I thought that was a really cool twist from the original because it flips the kind of main premise on its head of like, okay, I don't want to avoid everybody. I actually want to get in the way of everybody because it's beneficial to me. But as always, as you're going through and making stops off at these various locations in the city, you're picking up passengers. You're trying to kind of mix and match different set collection elements in a roll and write like fashion.
So the question for me to you is, if you have New York and London, do you need this one?
I don't think so.
We have both.
They're largely the same.
90% the same. Yeah.
Largely the same with that one little twist. It's something that like I enjoy the look of these games. I enjoy what you're doing. And so like I probably would keep collecting them if they did more. Yeah. But in terms of like a need, choose one that seems nice. Like I love the look of this cover more than the other one. The nighttime-y vibe in Paris and stuff is really cool. So like I would choose that one if I could only keep one. I'm happy to have both. You don't need more than one set.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
But that's
great.
Not taken away
fun
from
game though. Really fun game.
Yeah. Next up we got is Pyramido.
Yeah.
This is a tableau pyramid
kind of 3D
3D building game. We're going to be placing these tiles, these little domino style tiles that are going to have one or more colors and then a couple of different icons into a little grid, kind of like King Domino style. We're going to have it's more rectangular and stuff, but you have a certain kind of width and height that you can make your grids in. And your goal is to make a large group of the same color to basically get as many icons that pertain to that color. Like red is like the eye of Horus or whatever it might be.
Ra,
Ra, yeah. And so you want as many of those as you can because then you can score points and stuff. But then the next round, you're going to build on top of the tiles that you place in the first round and only leave one singular edge up as you're building a pyramid. And so as you build on the next level, if you have red next to red on the lower level and stuff, it continues that group. And you want to have as many of those icons kind of on the outside of your pyramid so they don't get covered up.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do this to build groups and stuff and do scoring as you go through the game. I actually really enjoy
I enjoy it too.
The kind of spatial puzzle. It's very much like a King Domino and stuff where it's like if you've played those games, this isn't supremely different from those. So just note that. But it was one of those like solid game, you know?
And this falls into I feel like we talk about these games a lot because there's a lot of these kinds of games, but that kind of King Domino Cascadia thing where it's like it's the end of the evening. You want to play a quick game that's like makes you think, but you're not thinking that hard. It's kind of relaxing. You're kind of just like, I'm gonna put this here. It's like not high stakes or anything like that. And this is very much in that line. I do enjoy it. Again, it's like there's a lot of these kinds of games now that are kind of fall into this category. So none of them get played a ton because of that. Like, but ultimately, I thought it was good. Yeah,
not a top 10 game of the year, but
a solid game.
Solid. And if you like tiling, it's going to be good, and we like tiling, so.
Indeed. We got Boop.
We did, baby. We just missed out on Boop the Halls this year.
Didn't even try to get it.
Yeah, it was
because there was like 10. So we got Boop, which is the Halloween, the spoopy version of Boop. It is basically exactly the same as Boop, except for the fact there are now some ghost cats going across the bed that will, when they come across any cats, they will boop them out because cats are like, a ghost. And that's pretty much it. You can play normal Boop with this. Now it's just kind of got like witchy cats and stuff. Or you can play with the little variant in there, which does change things. You do have to think about things differently because you're trying to get your cats into a line of 3, and that's how you win the game. You can turn your kittens into cats, and then you're trying to get your cats in a line. And so it definitely adds another layer of like, okay, wait, so, and again, every round the ghost cats go, they move. So you're like, okay, in 3 turns, this ghost cat's gonna be here. Yeah. And so I need to I wanna have a cat there so it'll boop it over here. And so it does add another layer of planning, but it's still super simple.
Yeah, it's a nice little ad. I really, really like that you can play just standard Boop with this.
Yeah, of course, there's no difference really.
You know, it's like you can just ignore the ghost cat and not play with it. I love the look. Like there's like little cats holding pumpkins and then little witch cats with little witch hats.
It's cute.
It's adorable. If you like Boop and stuff, like this is one, again, now they have Boop the Halls, which will be coming out very soon to retail, I'm sure, because they did have a limited amount of copies.
We'll be getting
at Gen Con, where now there's like a double layer situation as you're going up a tree, and I'm like, I'm going to get every single Arbor Day Boop I'm going to get.
Tree Boop,
Flag Day Boop, whatever. I'm getting them all because I want... the cats are so cute. I'm like,
it's a great game.
It's a great game.
I'll get every single one.
If you like abstract, kind of chessy-like stuff, this one... It breaks my brain in terms of like trying to figure out how to get stuff situated in a line. So I want to get better at it.
It's one of the simplest games on the planet.
Yeah, in terms of rules,
it's insane how simple it is.
Place a cat, boop some cats. Easy. You just learned it. Next, we got Fancy feathers.
I saw this at a random booth, and I said, a small box Freeman Freeze game? Yep, I'm going to buy it. It was like $15. Great. This is a
little two-player game.
Yeah, it's a two-player game. Although you can play with more sets of Fancy Feathers. But yeah, it's a two-player game where
set collection stuff.
Yeah, set collection where you're basically you're gonna have a line of these cards, and there's like 12 different kinds of cards. You only ever play with 6 of them, so it's one of those things where there's differences each time. And it's kind of I was gonna say line manipulation, but it's not that. It's kind of like the time mechanic and something like patchwork, where whoever's farthest behind gets to go in this kind of straight line, and then you're constantly putting new cards out the front and kind of moving everything like this, basically. And if I remember correctly, it's the one you come off of is the one that the card that you get to take. So you're kind of like, okay, I want to go this far forward, land here, because I'm gonna take that card later. But there's a kind of thing where you can like kind of force each other to end up taking stuff, because not all the cards are good. Some will be like, if you get one of these kind of pheasants, it's this many points. If you get 2, it's this many points.
You start to lose points if you get 2
and then you start losing. Or these ones are just straight up negative points. Yeah. These ones are just straight up positive points. So you're just kind of manipulating that and going through until you get to the end. Yeah. And I thought it was great. It's a good little Freedom Freeze card game.
Yeah, the way you can mess with each other is like essentially if you're hopping forward over, I think it's like everything between the card that you leave and your opponent you pick up. So it's like someone, if like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff, I'm going to go way forward. So you have to pick up all this junk. Which is really cool, and it's got this just like redonkulous pheasant, just like, hey, what's going on?
Like out of focus pheasant.
It's great. Which is great. So it's great. Solid little game.
Spiel des Jahres winner. Boom! What a pickup.
Supremo, baby.
Supremo. This Sky Team by Scorpion Mask just won the Spiel des Jahres, the German Game of the Year, the most prestigious board game award on the planet.
This was this our most anticipated last year going into Gen Con?
Probably. If it wasn't, it was probably our number 1 or 2.
It was right up there.
This game is incredible. It won the Spiel des Jahres for a reason. It's a 2-player cooperative game where you are trying to land a plane together. It's a dice placement game where you roll your dice behind a screen, and then you can't talk, and you have to place out your dice.
One at a time.
Yeah, the co-pilot can place in some spaces, the pilot can place in other spaces, and you're basically trying to land a plane. The base game alone is really, really fun. I've played it dozens of times ultimately, but then there's all these different modules where now you're trying to land at Heathrow, and Heathrow in London is very, very busy. So there's way more planes in the sky that you got to get out of the way. And there's like kerosene leaks. There's like
new hires and stuff. There's
like
a
interns
bunch
and
of
stuff.
things you can do
there's like
to up the difficulty.
20 different airports that you can fly into. All of them again are different difficulties and stuff. It's just there's so much in the base game. It's so much fun to play over and over and over again, because every single time the dice you roll makes it a new puzzle. And they announced an expansion.
They announced an expansion, So there's going to be even more kind of modules and things you can add in. So I cannot wait for that. This game is incredible. It lived up to our expectations, which is always
we were dumb hyped about it. Yeah.
All right, I got another little one we haven't played called Inheritors.
I want to play it.
I do want to play it. It seems cool. You're building a little tableau, and you're trying to be the next person to claim the kingship or whatever. But you're drafting cards and stuff like that. And the way you draft things is kind of interesting. It's been a while since I read up on it, if I'm honest. I haven't played it, but the anticipation is still there. I do want to play it. It seems up my alley, and I remember when we got this from North Star, they sent it to us. It was so much smaller than I thought it would be, and I was very excited by that, because I thought it was like this big game. Yeah. And this is very dinky, which is nice. So when in doubt, make your game smaller than people will expect.
One of our more anticipated games from Gen Con was 3-Ring Circus by Deyear. So I still haven't played this yet. Mike played it once and didn't love it. Now, to be fair,
I was bummed, man.
We haven't played it. I haven't played it. Mike hasn't played it again. Mike, we were so excited about it, and Mike kind of being like, it was all right. Kind of maybe not want to play it as much. I still do want to play it because
I love the look and style and just everything about it. And so when I played solo, you're going against I don't know, the automated like Ringling Brothers essentially or whatever, and they're running around and doing stuff. And like things I like about this game in theory are things I didn't like so much in practice. Yeah. There's like basically small, medium, and large towns and cities and stuff you have to go visit. They all want kind of different things and have different benefits of going to them. And they all kind of felt arbitrary. And there's like one where I think the large cities, you needed to have specific performers. So it means like a orange, which is like an acrobat or something, 7, like specifically that. And I thought going in that it was going to be like 7 or higher. And when I found out like through playing that like, no, it's specifically that number, I'm like, well, then it's like a little bit of like you're beholden to the luck of card draws and stuff. And I was like, well, that sucks. Like, And if you just don't ever encounter that card, don't ever come across it, those large cities are just like not a thing for you at all. And I was really just like, ugh. So I want to play it with,
really need to try it again.
Not a solo, and just see if like maybe the game takes a little longer to develop and stuff.
I really want to like it.
The style and everything is really cool. The tents and the pieces are nice. The tableau building, the way you build out your kind of, your cast of performers and stuff. I like all that stuff. Yeah. There's just some other things with like the cities you perform at and what you need that I was just like, it just felt very themeless and tacked on. I was bummed. So that's why I haven't played it again, because I was just like, I didn't enjoy myself.
I still want to though, so that one's gonna get played.
Yeah, didn't enjoy myself.
Have not given up on it. Want to play it.
Hoping it was a solo problem. All right, next up. Speaking of disappointments, we got Jerusalem and OD Domin.
Again, I think we need to play this one at a higher player count. We kind of had a rough Deyear year, actually. Because the two of our more anticipated
games. But then White
games,
Castle came out and everything was amazing. So who cares?
Real talk, the best game of the year. Yeah, Jerusalem and OD Domin is about the Last Supper, and you are getting kind of ready for the Last Supper. You are trying to be close to Jesus and stuff like that during the Last Supper. And it was fine. We played it at 2. I think this game is meant to be a 3 and 4 player game, but they made it 1 to 2 because they wanted to sell better, which is fair.
I completely understand that on a business level, but like if your game isn't that, don't make it. Make it what it actually is, because in the 3 and 4 player game, there's a whole different side of the board, the main board that you're using. And there's like these favors you can give. And
there's like whole parts of the game that are taken out.
Like a third of the game, there's like a track you're going up and stuff. And it's just not present in a 2-player game.
Because it doesn't work in a 2-player game.
It doesn't make sense. And so like the game felt like half a game.
Yeah, kind of.
I was like, we're fully missing some stuff here, and the other half is not the interesting half.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like you were doing the same things over and over and over again. So I really want to try it again, because I think religious themes in general are interesting. But while not being like preachy kind of, you know what I mean?
Not at all.
It's just about
it's just this historical
moment.
Like
we like Ezra and Nehemiah, but Ezra and Nehemiah is not like gung-ho religion. It's just set in that time period. I like that theme in general. And so I think it's an interesting theme.
It's an interesting time in history.
Yeah, you're just like trying to be the last time, you're trying to be like close to Jesus. I think that's an interesting theme. But it's just like, I thought it was fine. And I want to try it again at a 3 or 4 player count. I don't know if this one's still going to be for us, but we'll see. But ultimately, this one I was really excited for, and we weren't massive fans.
I feel like we didn't play the game because of the things they took out for the 2-player experience. So.
We'll see. Speaking of Deyear, we got Millie Fiore. I guess we picked up a bunch of Deyear
Heavy
stuff.
Deyear year.
Yeah, heavy Deyear year.
Millie Fiore, which we had played prior to Gen Con, and then you saw it because Deyear had picked it up for U.S. distribution.
Schmidt Spiel.
Schmidt Spiel is a Reiner Knizia game where you're placing out these gems, these very beautiful gems, into different areas of the city via a card you play. That'll kind of say if you can put it in this area or put it specifically in this kind of space in the city. And then each of those areas of the city will have different ways that they score. So one area you want to have a bunch of, you want to have as big of a group of your pieces as possible. Every time you add onto your group, it kind of becomes more and more valuable. There's this other area where you want to place kind of, everyone's working on the same single line. So you want to place when the space is valuable, the next space might not be valuable and stuff like that. And there's all these bonuses you can get from each of the areas as well. Really combo-tastic. The first time we played this, it was like amazing. We played it a few more times since then.
And it's like not 5 or 6 times,
It's not that it's bad or anything, but like we've kind of seen what this game offers, and it's a fairly straightforward game. And so we're kind of like, maybe we're ending, our time with this game. There is an expansion out or coming out. I'm curious what that adds. Maybe it'll infuse a little new blood. I don't think it's going to make it an evergreen game all of a sudden, but it is really fun.
It is very fun.
And, like one that I'll play every so often.
Last times we played, we're like, I've seen it. Like, there's not much to explore in this game.
So a year later, you're kind of like, I think I've played it. It had about a year lifespan.
And honestly, that's fine. That's totally okay.
But a good year. What a good year.
Yeah, good game though.
Next up, it's not Lost Ruins of Arnak, but specifically the Missing Leaders expansion, the newest expansion. I think that's right.
Yes,
Missing Leaders?
I think so.
Which gives you a solo and 2-player campaign you can play through. A couple new leaders as well.
2 new leaders, which you can play with anything.
And you are. We played a couple of the games in that kind of campaign. One I like that's designed for solo or 2-player because the solo
makes it more like
scenarios which they developed during COVID were really kind of popular and stuff. And I like it because it gives you focuses where it's like in this game, the first one we had to discover 10 dig sites. There's like 12 possible spaces on the board. So it means you have to focus on that area and hit a certain point threshold and blah, blah, blah. And that changed our style because in the game, we don't always discover a bunch of dig sites. And so I like that, like, well, this one we have to do it, so you have to change your strategy.
It made you play,
really enjoyable.
It made you play it differently than you normally kind of would.
Which
and
is really cool.
I really want to explore that more. I really, really enjoyed it. The new leaders are also very cool.
Yeah.
I love Lost Ruins of Arnak, and I always want more of it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a hit. So again, it's in there, tucked away.
I have not played this one, but Mikey has played through it, I believe. This is Island Something Shiny.
I played through like 2/3 of it, and then I kind of unfortunately stopped because we got busy, and now I don't remember where I was, so I'd probably restart it. But this is a small campaign game. It's like 6 episodes long. Each episode's probably like 30, 45 minutes, so you can get through it in a few hours.
But it's a solo campaign game.
It's a solo campaign game, one or more. You could play it like with your family, and it is designed kind of more at family weight. And it's this game where you're sort of kind of choose your own adventure where you're going to get cards and stuff. There's a comic that you're reading that gives you kind of the story that leads into each new game section. And then you have sort of a pick your own adventure where you're going to have 2 options. You can either go left or you can go right. I can go and tend to a garden, or I can go explore this thing over here. And then depending on which directions you go, you might get new branching opportunities and stuff. And you're discovering there's something shiny on this mountain. You're basically trying to get up to this mountain. I enjoyed it. It's kind of a casual, light campaign experience with some discovery and stuff. I like what it's doing as a family weight thing. There was a very sad scene. In the beginning, so note that if you're playing with families, I've heard of people who have kids who were very upset.
Know that's coming,
but it was cool, and I hope to kind of reset it and play through it because I was enjoying what I was doing, but now I've just forgotten. I'm like, it's too long. I need to start over again. But where I'd gotten to the story was interesting. I was like, oh, whoa, where am I?
Yeah, down.
Am I trapped? That's a spoiler. I'm trapped. So it's Island Something Shiny. We got right here Wandering Towers. Capstone brought this over. Yeah. This is Kramer and Kiesling, Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling. And this is a game where you have like your wizards and you're like moving wizards onto sections of castles that you can then kind of pick up and move around and even like stack on top of each other. So a wizard might get like hidden inside a thing. And you're trying to move around a land on Raven's Keep, this one area where you drop your wizard into. So it's this kind of like spatial, like... not Mancala exactly, but like it has some elements of like trying to get around to the right space as you work your way around this circle.
A bit of memory of like where stuff is.
A bit of memory of where things are. There's some like abilities you can get and stuff. I've only played a partial game of this. You haven't played it and stuff, but it was like really cute. Kind of cool for like families and stuff. I don't know if like we have much occasion to play it, but I'm not mad to have it because it is kind of different and cool. We don't have a game like this. So
it's very cool. I wanted to play, but again, it's a game I thought Mike and I would just play on our own.
It's not,
And so if we have some, kids, it says 10 up on the box, probably can go a little lower than that. If we're hanging out with kids, someone's kids about that age, I would love to try and play them. I just think
the pieces are cool and stuff.
We haven't gotten around to it because I'm just like, well, if it's just us two, I think we'll be like, oh, this is fine. But if you're playing it with like younger kids, it's probably great, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is Wandering Towers.
We picked up the greatest Western Trail, at least according to us, and that is Great Western Trail New Zealand, baby. Great Western Trail New Zealand. This is the 3rd installment. The final installment? Who knows? Let's be honest. I mean, they make a lot of money from these games.
They announced a trilogy. They haven't announced anything else, so we don't know.
So Great Western Trail New Zealand. This one in New Zealand. Now you are running sheep, not cattle, because New Zealand's not really known for their cattle. Sheep up to Wellington. This is kind of it's weird. It's an interesting kind of like greatest hits of the Great Western Trail where there's like a bit of rails to the north from the expansion from the original Great Western Trail. There's like a little bit of the kind of shipping stuff and little different things from Argentina. It's kind of got a little bit of all of them, plus some extra new stuff on top of it. It's definitely the biggest, both physically and I think heaviest of the three.
The most stuff, for sure.
It's also the prettiest, in my opinion. It's just really, really cool. I really like this one. I like all 3 Great Western Trails. I will play any of the 3 of them at any point you want to.
Have them all happily.
Absolutely love having them all. This one probably is my favorite because it is like the biggest, it's the heaviest, and it's kind of the greatest hits of them all, but they're all outstanding.
There's a little more variety built into this one because you have these different card sets that you are not going to play with all of the types in the game, and you can swap them out. That just gives like a little bit of a different type of card you can collect in the game outside of the standard, the cattle, the sheep cards and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. And then, the way that it kind of mixes and blends elements from the other Great Western Trails into this and kind of innovates. Now you can, deliver your sheep to be, sent off, or you can just shear them and sell their wool. That's a different kind of delivery system that some cities and stuff only want the wool. Some you can do either for different rewards. So like, it's just cool. There's just a lot of things,
more
a lot
stuff
of,
to do.
As I say lately, a lot of levers to pull. In this one, and the board's super pretty and green and blue, and
Chris Williams crushed it.
It's very pretty. So.
Yeah, it's really fun though. If you like Restoration Trail, you'll like this. If you hate Restoration Trail, this won't change your mind.
Yeah. Last on my side is Distilled. She big,
so good.
She large. This is really good.
It's so good.
We played this after you brought it home.
Yeah. And then it kind of sat for a while, even though we both really liked it.
Sat for a long time
Just
because
crazy busy.
Crazy busy, and you have this thing where it's like if you don't replay something for a while, you kind of forget how to play it. And this game isn't hard to learn, really, but it just was like, I don't have time because we'd have to relearn it. And then it came on Board Game Arena, and I've been playing a little bit, and I soloed it, and the solo is amazing in this, by the way. So Distilled is awesome. Distilled is just fantastic. It's so fun. It's fun to make your little spirits and buy stuff and manage your money and decide kind of, which direction to go for, which, do I want to do a bunch of kind of easy things like vodka, or do I want to like really invest in a nice whiskey? It's going to take a few rounds for me to get the reward for it, but when I do, I'm going to get a ton of points, a ton of money. There's just a lot of fun
stuff. You're making different flights. There's all these different characters that have different powers.
So much variety.
So much variety. It's so good.
Baked in.
I meant to pick up the Cask expansion at Gen Con. We forgot.
Right. I think we have that coming. Oh, I think we're okay. But
Patterson Games crushed it with this. We recently played Luthier, which is also very fun. But Distilled is super good.
Yeah, Distilled is
really good.
Boom.
Shout out to BGG. Lincoln and Aldi showed us this one. And this is Powerline.
Yes, it did.
I picked this up at Gen Con last year because I saw it at Queen Games, and I had never seen it before that or after that, so I'm glad I picked it up.
Might have been our one chance,
Powerline is a game that we played at BGG Spring 2023, and I really enjoyed it. This is a game where it's a tough game that's really brutal, but it's equally brutal to everyone. So everyone's, even though it's a competitive game, everyone's suffering at the same time, which is actually kind of nice. And so this
is a tough puzzle to put together.
Yeah, you basically have all these power lines you're trying to power different parts of this city or whatever theme. It doesn't matter. It's just, you're just putting down dice basically. So there are pip values on these power lines, like 6, 3, 6, 2, 1, 5, like that. And then someone's gonna roll out these dice and put them in a very specific order. I can't remember the order, but it's like black die, white die, green die, red die, blue die, yellow die, something like that. But they're in a very specific order. And so you could use all the die, but you have to use them in order from one of the ends. So you have to go from this end, like this die, this die, this die, this die, this die, or this die, this die, this die, this die, this die. And you can only work on 3 of your power lines at a time. And again, you have to go in order. So the first die here is like 6, and I want to work on this power line. The next pip value is 6. Great, I can put that 6 there. But if the next die here is 3 and the next pip value here is 4, I can't then put that there because again, you have to use these things in order, and you can choose to not use them, but you're gonna get penalized for doing so. But it's this thing where like someone rolls a die and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I just need a 4 to be first, please. And just everyone's angry at everyone, but not.
They're all just beholden. You're trying to put together this puzzle.
It's just really fun. It's just a good time.
I agree. It's an awesome time. It's really fun. I learned a lot the first time I played because I had one area where it's like, I need everything to progress on any of these lines. I need a 3.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's a problem.
You're like, I need someone to roll 4, 3, 3, 2, 5. And that's probably not going to happen.
So I learned like, oh, maybe don't end around with that in your situation because you might get stuck. What else you got, mine?
So we got Mercurial, which is a game I want to play because it's so pretty. We have not played it. We are given this game by Good Games Publishing. But when we got it, they wanted us to wait a little bit to play it because I think it wasn't quite out yet. And then we had to wait, and then we kind of forgot about it. I'm not gonna lie. I want to play. I think it's a tableau building game. It's got really beautiful art. I do like games from Good Games Publishing. We have not gotten a chance to play this one. It's one of the few that we haven't played from Gen Con 2023. We've had a lot where one of us has played, but this one neither of us has played. Don't really know much about it. But it's pretty, and I do actually want to play it. But I don't know when we're gonna get around to it.
Doing a bunch of dice manipulation stuff with your things.
So
and you kind of power
it's like 45 to 90 minutes. It's not super long. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Hope to get to it soon.
If you've played it, let us know what you think.
Yeah. Are we making a mistake by not playing it? We got one last one, which we knew
maybe
going
the best
in.
for last.
We knew going in we were going to like, but we got a finished retail copy because we had covered a prototype of this. Nucleum. This is from Board and Dice.
It's a masterpiece.
We have covered Nucleum. We've covered Nucleum Australia, their new expansion. There's another expansion coming out, which we'll cover soon. Nucleum is awesome.
So good.
It is so good.
It's so good.
I
love it so much.
It's this game where you are developing nuclear energy and stuff in Germany. In Saxony, and you are doing a bunch of stuff. You're building routes between cities.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch going on.
You are putting out kind of power plants and you know, kind of turbines and things to
eat energy, to eat
eat up the uranium and stuff, and then power cities ultimately. You want to build cities, build certain types of buildings in these cities, and they hope to power them to flip them over to their kind of side that's going to give you bonuses and scoring and stuff like that. You're doing all these different things to try to capitalize on certain goals. There's contracts you can do. There really is a lot of routes you can go in order to score your points, to kind of build up your infrastructure. Yeah. It's a big, chunky game. We're not explaining it well, but do check out our playthrough if you want to learn more about how it works. But
there's an overview for it, It's
got these really smooth turns. You can play, like, for the most part, an action tile, which gives you 2 actions you can do, and the actions themselves are not complicated.
They're not complicated.
But it all collects up to this massive, awesome game.
Yeah, this is a game where, like, everything you're doing is, like, pretty simple. Yeah. There's a lot of those things, so it's still a big teach. All the things you're doing is pretty simple, but then the way you do them and the way you do them, all this stuff, that's what becomes this big, massive game. But the things you're actually doing itself are like, it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this one, and you can grab a new contract. That's that action. Yeah. That's all it does, you know? And so it's like, I'm gonna do this.
Because it stops that from being so overwhelming.
Yeah. And the turns are pretty snappy because of it. It's like, I'm gonna do these 2 things, blah, blah, blah. There's not like a bunch of big combos or anything like that. It's really great. I love Nucleum so much.
It's probably our favorite thing from Gen Con last year.
That or Restoration New Zealand, probably, right? Like, and that's kind of hard because it's already Great Western Trail.
Yeah, I'd probably choose this over that because it's not part of a series.
We had to rank, or rather, let's give a top 3 from Gen Con 2023.
Oh, man, easy. I personally would go Nucleum, Great Western Trail, New Zealand, Sky Team. 1, 2, 3. That'd be my pick.
I would
maybe the Sky Team number 2.
I would probably go Nucleum. I'm going to say Nucleum. I'm gonna say Sky Team Distilled because we've already played Great Western Trail, and it's still mostly the same game.
I would Distilled at 4, but man, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
I kind of cheated because realistically, Great Western Trail New Zealand is in there, but we've already played that game, kind of.
That's true. So, that's true.
That is.
I think give points to a fully original game.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's our haul from last year. 1 year later.
Yes.
For the most part,
pretty good.
Really good.
Not like a banger all-time year, but like pretty good.
There's a lot of solid stuff, and there's a couple that are really all-time games.
Yeah, really great games. But a lot of it was kind of like, oh, one of us has played it, and we haven't been super compelled to get both of us to play it, kind of thing. So there's a decent amount of that.
It's always kind of a crapshoot.
That's always how it is. I mean, that's the thing with Gen Con. Especially in our situation, and this is a specific to content creators, we are sometimes just given games. So it's like, maybe we didn't get all around to playing it because we didn't really like seek out that game, right? And so now that's a content creator problem, not so much just like a normal person problem. Yeah. But it's just one of the things like, it's like it was a good year. Some really, really excellent games in there, and then a decent amount there were like, it was good. And that's kind of just how everything is, right? So, I think that's going to be it. Let us know what you think of these games. Let us know some Gen Con games or games you maybe got around Gen Con if you didn't get them at Gen Con. A year later, how are they holding up? What's a game that came out last summer that you're still super into? Let us know down in the comments below. Yeah, what's one that we didn't mention at all? You're like, how do you not have this game? Let us know that so we can seek it out. Yeah. And we'll catch you all next year, I guess, in the next haul. And go watch this year's haul for next year. You get it. Boom. Thank you so much for watching that kind of retrospective. I want to give a big shout out to our month of August sponsor, Gems of Inheritors. Gems of Inheritors is an easy to learn, fun to master worker placement game where players will push their luck as they compete to mine gems, restore ancient relics, and ascend to the throne of a gem-rich world. Make sure to check it out when it hits Kickstarter this month. We want to give other shout out to our channel sponsors, Restoration Games, Board Game Geek, and Garfield Games. We love y'all to death. See ya!